It literally took a full hour for me to pick out the TBR for this month because there are so many good books that I want to read and I just don't know if I'm going to get to them, but I am going to do my best. I usually read between 17 and like 18 books every month, and so I'm really going to try to read 20 for the month of September. So yeah, let's get into this little TBR, and I hope you guys I can't even lift it. I hope you guys enjoy. The first book on my TBR for September is Rootless by Crystal Zara Apia, and this is a book that is like a debut author, and I'm excited to read because I feel like it's a very unique concept. So I'll read like a little blurb. It says, Rootless is a heart-rending love story about motherhood and sacrifice, providing an intimate look at what happens after a marriage collapses, leading two people to rediscover what they ultimately want and if it's still each other. I feel like this is a good one because it's actually about a like husband who really wants a child, and like the main character, like the wife, does not want a child, but I think she's pregnant, and so this is supposed to be like a very hard-hitting book. And I actually have heard from some people just like on Goodreads, like looking through a couple reviews. I didn't want to get like any spoilers, but looking on there, it seems like if you maybe struggle with like things revolving children, then maybe don't read this book. Things like infertility and stuff like that, because I guess this like somewhat talked about those topics, but I'm excited to read it because I feel like it's a very unique story and I love reading unique stories. This is a book that was actually recommended to me from some women like that I work out with at the gym, and I've really been trying to broaden my spectrum of like what I read. And so this book is called Things We Cannot Say by Kelly Reimer, and I actually shared this on Instagram, and so many of you guys have said that you've read this book. I literally had no idea like what this was even about, but it says for fans of The Nightingale, and I've also heard The Nightingale is a really good book, but I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says slipping between Nazi-occupied Poland and the pace of modern life, Kelly Reimer creates an emotionally and finely wrought narrative that weaves together two women's stories into a tapestry of perseverance, loyalty, love, and honor. The Things We Cannot Say is an unshakable reminder of the devastation when truth is silenced and how it can take a lifetime to find our voice before we learn to trust it. I am really excited to read this just because I feel like if someone I know recommends a book, then they probably are going to recommend something that I'll enjoy because they know me well. But this is, again, way out of my element. I normally do not read like historical fiction or like historical romances or anything like that. So if you've read this book, please comment below and let me know if you've read it and if you enjoyed it, because I need some like hype to get me going for this book. But I'm adding it to my TBR for this month. This is called Zora Books Her Happily Ever After by Taj McCoy, and this is a book that's actually about two like potential lovers. It says a heart-pounding curvy romance about an indie bookstore owner who finds herself in a love triangle when she meets the author she's had a crush on for years and his best friend. So I think she ends up like going on dates with both of them, and she's like potentially interested in getting with both of them. And I think that's such an interesting concept. I also love bookish romances, like anything that's set in a bookstore or where someone is like a publisher or works in a publishing house. All of those are my absolute favorites. So I feel like this will be a really good story, a really happy, easy read, and I've just been craving a little bit of those lately, probably because I've been reading thrillers. So I think this will be a nice little palate cleanser. I've actually read, I think, 2 or 3 books by this author, so I'm really excited to read this book. It actually just came out, I think, last month or this month, and it's called Everyone Here is Lying by Cherie Lapina. I feel like this is going to be a good book. For one, I love The Couple Next Door, and Cherie Lapina also wrote or co-wrote The Golden Couple, I think, if I remember correctly, and it's just a really good book. I'll just read the inside. It says, welcome to Stanhope, a safe neighborhood, a place for families. On the surface, William Wooler is a family man, but he's been having an affair that ended horribly this afternoon at a motel up the road. When he returns to his house, devastated and angry to find his difficult 9-year-old daughter, Avery, unexpectedly home from school, William loses his temper. Hours later, Avery's family declares her missing. So I'm just gonna leave it at that because there really isn't a ton else that's like in the blurb. I feel like that alone is just like enough to get you intrigued, and I feel like Cherie Lupina has such a great way of just like jumping right into the story, which I love with thrillers. I don't actually have a ton of thrillers on my TBR this month because I feel like I was a little thriller heavy in August and I need like, I don't know, to just like mix it up a little bit more. But of course I have to have some in there because thrillers are so perfect for fall and perfect for September. I'm so serious when I say that this book has been on my TBR only one time, but every single time it's on there, I'm so excited to read it. And it's called All the Little Things by Rachel Leigh. And on the back it says, 4 years ago, my life was changed forever. One kiss, one moment, 5 words. Enjoy all the little things, just on like a little sticky note thing. You can see on the back, it literally looks like a journal. That's what Riker said the night before he vanished from our lives. So that's what I did. I lived each day like it was the last, embracing all life had to offer. Now he's back in town and staying with me as a favor to my brother. Being alone with Riker is dangerous. His eyes intoxicate me. His touch tempts me. He doesn't look at me like a little girl anymore, and I'm ignoring the fact that he's my brother's best friend. He dared me to live. I dared him to love. The first kiss almost killed me, but the second one brought me back to life. This just looks so good, and there's also a lot of dialogue in it. One of you guys actually DM'd me and asked if I could share like a little bit about like what the inside of the book looks like. And I'm a big dialogue girl, so anytime I rate a book fairly highly, usually there's a good amount of dialogue. So I will definitely share that if I remember, but this book definitely has a good amount of dialogue, and I'm really excited to read this one like so much. The Love Con by Saricia Glass is a book I'm really excited about because it's again a very unique concept. This is about a girl who, it says her name's Kenya Davenport. It says he's cosplaying as her boyfriend, but their feelings for each other are real in this romantic comedy from Saricia Glass. And here, Kenya Davenport, she, I think, likes to like cosplay, and she ends up like wanting to win this competition or this challenge, but the challenge is only for iconic duos, and so she doesn't have anyone else to like cosplay with, and so she decides to ask her best friend to be her fake boyfriend for this like challenge or like on this show that she's gonna potentially be a contestant on. And I guess they like role play being in love, and they like cosplay together on this like competition thing, and I'm assuming sparks fly, I don't really know, but it says all's fair in love and cosplay. So this is just like a really cool, like interesting book. It said, sometimes Kenya Davenport believes she was switched at the hospital. How else could a lover of anime, gaming, and cosplay come from STEM parents? Still, Kenya dreams of being able to turn her creative hobby into a career. And I just think that that's cool. I feel like there's more books now that have like people having really unique hobbies, and I feel like it's really cool that authors are celebrating that, so I want to read this book. I am ready to jump back into the world of Kennedy Ryan. You guys know Before I Let Go is a 5-star read for me that I read earlier this year and loved it so much, and so I'm going to read Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. Absolutely love her writing. This is about Iris Dupree, who meets August West in a sports bar during their last semester of college, and it seems that they like have good banter, good conversation, but it's just like wrong place, wrong time, I think. And years later they go their separate ways, and then I think she ends up getting in a relationship with someone else, but they still stay connected, and I think the relationship she's in with someone else is just like not a good one. So yeah, then August re-enters her life. That's the guy that she like met at the sports bar. It says the world seems briefly bright again, but Iris's darkest nights are not over yet. To survive, she must build her own strength and trust that her bond with August can endure after all this time, even when her fraudulent prince has vowed never to let her go. I cannot wait to hop into this. I love that these have new covers. Like, this book series has been like talked about so much, but I feel like this cover just makes me want to read it even more. It's just so pretty. And the second new cover comes out in September, and the third new cover I think comes out in October. So I feel like it'll be nice to like keep up with the books as the new covers come out and I can read them. So yeah, this one looks like a good one. This next book is a book that so many people talk about as being like one of the hardest books that they've ever read. It's called My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, and this is about a teacher who is in a like relationship with his student, but like it's not one that he should be in. I think he's like 40 and I want to say she's like under 18, I'm pretty sure. And this kind of details like her life in the relationship, feeling and glamorizing this man and like feeling like he's this like great guy that she like really admires and is glad that she's with. And then it also shows later in the future when she has like apparently gotten through or trying to work through some of the trauma from being with this like older guy. So I really had to think about whether I wanted to read this, because hard books for me sometimes are just that, they're like hard, and I like to read a lot of fluffy, easy reads to like escape. But I did read Fast by Millie Belazar, I think that's the author, and that was a very hard read, but it was a read that I actually really enjoyed. So we'll see if I like this one, because Fast is like a romance, and this one I don't think it's like a true traditional romance. I think you just get her perspective of like caring about this guy. So we'll see if I like this one, but I've heard a lot about it, so I had to add it to my TBR for this one. In It to Win It by Sharon C. Cooper is a book about two people who pretty much want to buy the same like lot, and they both want to like build their own separate businesses on this lot, and they're both very competitive. And so yeah, Morgan Redford is like the main character, the girl, and she is like kind of has like all her P's and Q's, ducks in a row, like everything is like going perfectly planned in her life, and she is doing really well professionally, and she plans on like buying this lot to, I think, like start a nonprofit. But then this real estate developer, Drake Faulkner, he's like, absolutely not, this lot is mine. So I think they like are like an enemies to lovers situation, because it is a romance, and it just looks like a really good book. I feel like I've really been wanting to branch out and read more books by Black authors, and I feel like I have been getting more excited about like unique books that maybe people don't talk about, because I've been watching a lot of TikToks where people talk about diverse reads. And one thing about reading is the community around reading is what makes reading 10 times more fun. So if you're hearing someone talk about a book, it makes you want to read a book. And so I feel like I've been inspired to read more books, because like more unique books, because I am like watching people on TikTok talk about these like unique books. So I have a lot of like different diverse reads in this stack, but also different types of reads, like the historical fiction and like a more sad story, like lots of different types of books. But I feel like it's because I really want to like branch out and share unique books with you guys that maybe you don't hear about. So this should be a good one. Talking at Night by Claire Daverly is actually a book that I bought in my like book shopping vlog that just went up like a day or so ago, and I bumped this up to the top of my TBR because so many people have said that this book is good, and I checked on Goodreads and the reviews are high. And my favorite trope like ever is friends to lovers, and this is supposed to be like a friends to lovers story. So you know what, I had to bump it to the top. Anytime someone says friends to lovers, I'm like, I'm in. Tell me where to start or where to buy it, because I want to read it. Comment below your favorite friends to lovers books, because I literally cannot get enough of that genre. And I think it's because that's how like Brady and I like started our love story. But I really am excited to read this. I've heard great things about it just from Goodreads, but I haven't actually heard anyone else talk about it. So I'll give you guys like the scoop on this once I finish it. I hope it's a really good one. Again, I'm back to reading more diverse reads, and Imogene, obviously, by Becky Albertalli is a book. Albertalli, is that how you say it? I literally cannot talk today. I am so sorry, but this is a book that a lot of people have said is a really good one, and the cover is so freaking cute. And it's about Imogene, who she's always been just like a really good ally for the queer community, and she has a ton of friends who are in that community and is always supportive. And I think it's like I want to say friends to, no, I take that back. I think that this is a fake dating trope, I'm pretty sure. Maybe, I don't know. I probably should read this like a little bit more in depth. I bought this from an independent bookstore because I heard great things about it, and the cover is really cute. But pretty much Imogene is like a really great ally for her friends in the queer community, not realizing that maybe she has feelings for one of her friends. And I just feel like this is a really cute coming of age story. I'm pretty sure this is YA, and I just don't know, I love it. It looks so fun, and I need more like happy, easy reads along with like the heavier ones. And I feel like these are my favorite types of reads, especially like in the transitional period between summer and fall. I've never read anything by Penelope Douglas, so this will be my first book by this author. And this is Bully by Penelope Douglas. It is actually a bully romance, and so they used to be friends. The guy's name is Tate, and he used to be friends with this like girl, and I guess they like stopped being best friends, and so now his like pretty much mission in life is to like ruin her life. And I don't know how I feel about a bully romance, because like I want to read a book where the guy's like obsessed with me, you know what I mean? Like he needs to be obsessed with the characters, and if you're not obsessed with the characters, like I don't know if like you're a good book boyfriend, you know, but I don't know. It says everything you've heard about bully is true. It's like nothing you've read before and exactly what you've been looking for. So that little tagline has pulled me in. Who knows? Maybe I'll love a bully romance. Like you never know. So we're gonna read this one. Again, this is me picking out books and reading books that are different from what I normally read, because again, I only really read like romances and a couple fiction like books and thrillers, but I don't want to just read the same type of romance. I want to read diverse reads. I want to read different types of love stories. I want to read different types of relationships. So this is me trying, okay guys? This is me stepping into the deep end and reading about a bully romance. So I've heard Living Dead Girl by Elizabeth Scott is actually a very hard read. It's a thriller, but it's very short. So we'll see like how I feel about it. But on the back it says, the thing is, you can get used to anything. You think you can't, you want to die, but you don't, you won't, you just are. This is Alice. She was taken by Ray 5 years ago. She thought she knew how her story would end. She was wrong. So this is a book that I feel like I've heard it's very disturbing, but it's short. So I feel like if I can deal with short disturbing, maybe I can like hop into the like longer thrillers that are a little bit scarier. I love thrillers, but I feel like they just can't be like too heavy, too scary, or too much. So I don't know, my little like heart just can't take it. But this one I heard is like a little wild, so I'll let you guys know what I think about it. Again, I'm jumping into the deep end with all these different types of books. This is a book that I think only has like 400 reviews on Goodreads, so it's like fairly newish book that people are talking about, but I cannot wait to read this. I've actually been wanting to read more books by indie authors that don't have a ton of reviews, because I want to be like one of the first ones. I don't know, but the reviews for this are super high. I want to say they're like 4.4 or 4.5 or something like that. And this is called In This Moment, and it's by Kay LaShawn. And on the back it says, love in all its forms is a foreign concept to Garen Taylor. After being let down one too many times by nearly every person in her life, she's sworn off the elusive emotion to focus solely on her career. When tasked with locating and obtaining a rare collection of artifacts for her most important yet difficult client, she finds them in the possession of self-made millionaire CEO and music module Verse Presley. Now, Verse apparently does not want to give up these like rare collector artifacts, and Verse is like, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this and that, like to get these artifacts. And it says, through it all, Garen fights to remain indifferent towards Verse and all his charming ways, while the multi-layered man works on breaking down each of her carefully constructed walls, giving her much more than she bargained for. This just looks good. And I, again, am wanting to read books by indie authors, so I feel like this is a great way to really jump in and like read a new book by the author I've never heard of before. This is called Accidentally Engaged by Farah Heron, and this is a diverse read that I'm excited to just like read. I feel like it's one I haven't heard of. So pretty much Rena, she has like refused to marry someone that her parents are like telling her would be good for her to marry. They kind of have like this little arranged marriage situation, and she meets the guy and he's kind of like perfect, like exactly like she would normally pick out, but she's just like so rebellious against like what her parents have planned for her. So she's kind of putting her feet in the ground and just like digging in and being like, no, like we're not getting married. And I think like, I don't know, I think they end up like having some kind of chemistry, and maybe she's gonna eat her words by the end of this book, but I feel like it'll be a good one. And this just shows a lot of the like Muslim culture as well. So I think that that will be really neat for me to jump into. I really tried to like mix up the diverse reads in this video. I've had this book for not too long, and I got it from an independent bookstore. So again, excited to read this one. So I've never read anything from Ella Mays, but I've wanted to read Marriage for One for a while, but literally it's so thick. It's kind of scary to jump into a book from an author that I've never read before. And this book is a little less thick, so I'm gonna jump into this book, and then if I like this book, I might like go and read the other book. The books in her like backlist, I don't think they're in a series, so that's exciting to read. But this is called To Love Jason Thorne by Ella Mays, and it's about a girl who, let me just read like the first sentence. It like pulls me in. It says, "Oh, how stupidly in love with that boy I was. He was the first boy that made me blush, my first official crush." Sounds beautiful, right? That excitement that bubbles up inside of you, those famous butterflies you feel for the very first time. He was the reason for them all, but you only get to live in that fairy tale world until they crush your dreams and hopes and then stomp on your heart for good measure. And boy, did he crush my little heart into pieces. I am intrigued already. So apparently Olive is a writer, and Jason is a movie star, and she's actually the writer of the movie that he's like starring in. She like wrote the production or like the book that the movie's inspired off of or something like that. And so yeah, I feel like this will be good. They're supposed to like rekindle after they haven't talked in a while, but she was like in love with him when she was younger. Like, this could be a really good one. This is actually a book I picked up this month as well during my little like book shopping video. It's called Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. I don't even know what it's about. It doesn't say anything on the back. It just says like the accolades of how great it is. But it is a graphic novel, and I want to read more graphic novels, and I don't really see graphic novels by Black authors very often. And so I really want to read this one, and I'm adding it in because I feel like if I can read like one graphic novel a month, just to like throw a little bit of like a palette cleanser in there, something different, something if I'm like feeling close to a slump. I feel like these always get me super inspired to read again, then why not? I have had this on my TBR for so long, and so many of you guys have told me to read this and I have not. So please comment below if you've read Restore Me by J.L. Seegers, that I need to read it. Like actually, like I feel like so many people are like, have you read it? Have you read it? And I'm like, no, I'm getting to it. I'm going to read this. Like there's so much hype for this book, but I think because it's so thick, it's so daunting. Like it's almost 500 pages and it is way taller than like the average book, but it is a love story, and it says, once in a lifetime love doesn't happen twice, right? Dominic Alexander is my late husband's best friend and the last man on earth that I should want. He's arrogant, dismissive, and up until recently has only ever used those dark eyes of his to look right through me. For the last 12 years, he's taken a sick pleasure in making me feel paper thin. Like my entire existence is of no consequence to him at all, but now things are different. After one drunken night and a surprisingly sexy act of heroism, he started to be nice, treating me like something other than the physical embodiment of his annoyance, which would be nice if it didn't make me feel all the things I swore to never feel for another man after my husband died. And then there's a little section for what Dominique has to say, but I don't really need to get into it because honestly I'm already hooked, and I hope you are too. I have heard so many good things about this book, and the third installment of this book, I'm pretty sure, was just released like this month or last month, and everyone's talking about it. I'm like, I have to get in on the hype, so I am bringing it home and reading it this month. This is a book that I saw on Black TikTok, and it says Stay With Me by Alexandria House. And I say Black TikTok because if I say that I saw it on Book Talk, like, no, I didn't. Like, this is not a popular book. Like, you would really have to search the hashtag Black TikTok for this book to come up, because I think there's only like 2,000 reviews maybe, and I feel like when a book gets onto Book Talk, that's when like a book is usually like overly hyped. Like Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan is a book that I feel like transcended past like the Black talk, like the Black Book Talk hashtag. And there's so many books by Black authors that I feel like never really get to like a larger viewing that's not just like celebrated by like a smaller audience. And so I'm really trying to like read so many different authors and diverse authors and authors I've never heard of before, and Alexandria House I never have, but I've heard great things about this book. This is about Angela Strickland, who she's a natural hair vlogger, and she pretty much just like is not interested in like dating or anything. She avoids men like the plague. She's like, stay away from me. I've been heartbroken too many times. I'm actually going to be single forever. Like, and I'm okay with that. And then there's Ryan, who he's like a corporate guy. He's a self-professed womanizer, and he's like, I'm not gonna settle down, like that's just not in my nature. And I guess they both cross paths, and it says their attraction to one another is undeniable. Will they find that the love they both evaded is exactly what they both need? This is the type of book I need. It's also very short. This is only 231 pages, so I feel like I will absolutely breeze through this book. So I'll give you guys my thoughts sooner than later. So I read Wait for You by Jennifer Lynn Armentrout, and I really love that book, and so I picked up this book. It's called The Problem with Forever by Jennifer Lynn Armentrout, and it says, growing up, Mallory learned that the best way to survive was to say nothing. Even though it's been 4 years since her nightmare ended, she's beginning to worry that the fear that holds her back will last a lifetime. Now, after years of homeschooling, Mallory must face a new milestone, spending her senior year at a public high school, but she never imagined she'd run into Ryder Stark, the friend and protector she hadn't seen since childhood, on her very first day. It doesn't take long for Mallory to realize that the connection she shared with Ryder never really faded, yet soon it becomes apparent that she's not the only one grappling with lingering scars from the past. And as she watches Ryder's life spiral out of control, Mallory must make a choice between staying silent and speaking out for the people she loves, the life she wants, and the truth that needs to be heard. Now, I actually heard about this book from Steph Bower, I think that's how you say her last name, and I feel like she shared this in like a super old video with books that she really liked, and I think that's how I was like, okay, this is a good book to read outside of the series that I started by Jennifer Lynn Armentrout, which Wait for You is the first one. I think Trust in Me is the second one, and there's like Stay With Me and like other books in that same series, but I hadn't read like a standalone by this author, so I'm like, this is a good one to start with because I've never, you know, picked up a standalone from her, so I'm excited to read this. I feel like it'll be a good one, and I really loved Wait for You. So I feel like I'll really like this one too. And that is all the books on my physical TBR. I could literally, like, I can't even explain how long it took me to pick out these books. I love books so much, and I feel like I have so many that I haven't read that I just want to read them all, and it literally took me like, I want to say it was like an hour, over an hour, just to pick out my TBR. And it could easily change. Like if I decide I want to read more thrillers, I think I only have 2 or 3 thrillers in this stack. If I want to read more thrillers, I might like swap some out, but this is where we're at for now. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and come back for the next one. Bye guys.